Hey everyone, and welcome back to All Things Soggy Buns. You know, it's always a good day when we get to dive deep into something seriously delicious.
I know, right?
And today, oh, it doesn't get much more delicious than this.
No kidding there?
We're talking about pulled pork,
Oh, yeah.
the cornerstone of so many of our Soggy Buns favorites.
It's the heart and soul
It is,
of a good bun.
absolutely. And to help us on this journey, we're taking a look at this super helpful guide I found on Instructables called How to Smoke Pulled Pork. 8 steps.
Great guide.
I thought so too. Super clear. And you know what? Makes it sound like something we could actually do at home.
Yeah, this one's really approachable, even if you've never even thought about using a smoker before.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Okay, so I'm already ready to fire up the smoker.
Yeah.
But before I get ahead of myself, one of the first things that popped out to me in the guide was this whole thing about cooking time. They say like a good rule of thumb is an hour per pound of pork.
Yeah, that's a classic guideline you'll hear a lot when you're talking about smoking.
Okay, so why is that such a crucial thing to keep in mind?
Well, for starters, it kind of sets you up for success
Okay.
because smoking pulled pork, this isn't something you just whip up in an hour. This is like a, Sunday afternoon
Right.
project. You gotta commit.
So it's a commitment. Okay.
But it's more than just like time management thing too.
Okay.
It really comes down to what's happening to the meat as it cooks.
Gotcha.
Pork shoulder, it's got a lot of connective tissue,
Okay.
collagen, and that's the stuff that makes it tough.
Uh-huh.
But when you cook it low and slow for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
that collagen, it breaks down
Okay.
and it transforms into this beautiful, like, silky gelatin.
Okay. So it gets all melty.
Yeah, and that's where that, like, fall apart tenderness comes from.
Gotcha. So patience is a virtue with pulled pork. Big time. Okay, so that's like what? 6 to 8 hours, maybe more, depending on the size?
Yeah, it could be. Depends on your cut,
Right.
the size of your smoker.
Are we allowed to, like, check our email during that time?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or do we have to be, like, hovering over it constantly?
Right. You don't have to be, a helicopter parent to your pork shoulder.
Okay.
Um, as long as you've got a good, consistent temperature in your smoker
Right.
and you're keeping that smoke going, and the guide is really good about this point. It's like, don't let that wood chip hopper run dry.
That's so important.
Keep the smoke going.
Yeah. Okay, so consistent temp, keep the smoke going.
Yeah,
Got it.
you're good.
We can step away. Phew.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on in this guide, something else that I thought was interesting was that they use mustard as a binder for the dry rub.
Ah, yeah, the old mustard binder trick.
Is that like a standard thing?
Yeah, it's pretty common.
Have you ever used anything other than mustard?
I've seen people use like a little apple cider vinegar, but you got to be careful because that can add some extra tang.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what's so great about mustard in this case?
Well, it basically acts like a glue
Mm.
to hold all those spices in your rub,
Okay.
and it doesn't really have a strong flavor of its own.
It's pretty neutral.
So it lets the pork shine through.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm sensing a theme here about things sticking, because they also talk about cooking the pork fat side up.
Oh, yeah, that's a must.
Why is that so important?
Well, think about it this way. As that fat cap on top melts,
Yeah,
it's basically basting the meat as it cooks.
it's self-basting.
Exactly. It's like built-in moisture insurance.
That makes so much sense. I think I've been doing it wrong all these years.
We'll live and learn, right?
Live and learn. So fat side up for the win.
Fat side up, always.
Always.
Oh.
Okay. Now they talk about using a meat probe and getting that temperature just right. I mean, I know a lot of people just kind of eyeball it or go by feel.
Yeah.
But why is that temperature so crucial here?
Because we're looking for that, like, pull apart texture.
Right.
And there's a sweet spot for that.
Okay.
You don't want to undercook it.
No.
You don't want to overcook it.
No.
A meat probe, it's like your insurance policy.
Gotcha.
It tells you exactly what's going on inside the meat.
Right.
So you know when it's done.
You know it's ready to go. And they talk about wrapping the pork in foil at a certain point. And they're very specific about like keeping that meat probe in place during that process.
Oh, yeah. That's key.
What's the deal with that?
Well, you don't want to lose your temperature reading.
That's true?
That probe, it's your eyes inside the meat.
Right.
You got to keep it where it needs to be
Okay.
so you can monitor the progress.
I'm seeing that precision is key.
It makes a difference.
Every step of the way. Okay, so let's say we've done all that.
Right.
We've been patient. We've got that perfect temperature.
Okay.
It's time to pull this pork apart.
Mm.
What are we looking for here?
Okay, so you unwrap that foil, and the aroma is going to hit you first.
Oh, yeah.
It's like smoky and savory,
Wonderful.
maybe a little sweet depending on your rub.
Mm-hmm.
And the meat should be so tender
Right.
that it just falls apart when you touch it with a fork.
Oh, man, that sounds so good.
Yeah. And then you just start pulling it apart
Yeah.
into these beautiful little strands.
Oh, man, it's making me hungry just thinking about it.
Me too.
You know, and if all this talk about pulled pork has your mouth watering,
Yeah.
I bet it does.
It should.
I want to remind you that Soggy Buns,
Huh?
we are a Maryland-based food truck and catering service.
That's right.
We make some pretty mean pulled pork ourselves.
Some of the best.
I think so.
Absolutely.
And we do it using those techniques we've been talking about.
Oh, yeah. It's all about that low and slow.
Low and slow.
That side up.
That's it. So head over to soggybuns.com. That's B-U-N-Z with a Z.
With a Z.
To check out our menu, find a location near you.
You won't regret it.
You will not regret it.
Ah.
All right, so let's recap some of those key takeaways.
Okay.
What have we learned today?
Lesson 1.
Lesson 1.
Patience. 1 hour per pound.
That's it.
Plan ahead.
Yep.
Lesson 2.
Mm-hmm.
Fat side up.
Okay.
Always.
Always fat side up.
Yeah. And that meat probe, your best friend.
Don't skip it.
No skipping the meat probe.
No skipping the meat probe. All right. And of course, the best part is pulling that pork apart at the end.
Oh, the best.
And that's when you know all your hard work is paid off.
You're rewarded.
It's a reward.
for your patience.
Now that we've kind of got the basics down,
Yeah.
I want to throw this out there.
All right.
What are some ways we could get creative with pulled pork?
Ooh.
Like, what kind of flavor combos could we try?
Well, we could play around with different woods for smoking.
Yeah, like applewood or hickory.
Exactly. Applewood's going to give you a little bit of sweetness.
Okay.
Hickory's going to be that like classic barbecue smoky
I
flavor.
love hickory. And then you got your rubs. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet, spicy, tangy.
We can do a whole nother deep dive on just rubs.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so that's something to think about for the future.
Definitely.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Big thanks to that Instructables guide. That was a great resource.
Super helpful.
And thanks to you, of course, for all your expertise.
Tis my pleasure.
And thanks to all of you out there for joining us on this deep dive on all things soggy buns.
See you next time.
Don't forget to check out soggybuns.com. That's B-U-N-Z with a Z.
With a Z.
To find out more about our delicious pulled pork and all our other amazing offerings.
Yeah. We'll see you soon.
I'll catch you in the next episode.